I'm Thomas. I'm one of the founders of Luminous Labs. Luminous Labs is a startup company based in Austria. We are focusing on longevity, and here in particular on extending the human health span. For us right now, first step into this direction is female health, that we are focusing heavily at the moment in terms of research, because we see longevity is a general topic. It's quite abstract at the moment still, and how we should measure aging or interventions that fight aging, it's still a bit unclear. And what we see, however, is that there are problems at the moment that we can already tackle, where we can have a big impact, and where we can already use, or that we can already use as a metaphor for aging. And for us at the moment, one of those is female health, because we see females have the fastest aging organs in the human body, so the female sexual organs. And we also see that aging processes in females, they work a lot faster. So you don't have like maybe from year 0 to 80 for certain things in the body, but maybe only 20, 30 years. And so that's quite exciting what we're doing at the moment. And what we do as a base or technology we are developing here that should do these things regarding aging or help with aging is we are using a technology called photobiomodulation. It's already existing in medicine for quite some time, so the past 30 years or even 40 years. It is using specific wavelengths of light that are also present in sunlight. We extract these wavelengths, concentrate them, make them 5 times more intense than these wavelengths are in sunlight. And these light wavelengths are then able to penetrate human skin, human tissue, and even bone and skull tissue, and interact directly with the mitochondria within our bodies. So mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells, that if you take in, for example, food as energy source in your body, the mitochondria then convert this food into usable energy within the body in the form of ATP. And what we saw is that these wavelengths of light that we are using, they are able to make this process of energy conversion within the body in the mitochondria much more efficient and effective. And this, as a base result, gives the human body and mind much more resilience. But we see also it has tremendous effects, of course, then also on aging, but also other performance-related things like concentration, like sleep quality, but also hormonal cycles, sports performance, sports recovery, and a few other things. So for me personally, I initially during my studies, I studied lighting engineering and lighting sciences. This was my first path in academia. I studied it under like a huge name in this department. Dr. Christian Bartenbach is based here in Austria, and he initiated research in the 1960s in terms of how light can influence human well-being, especially circadian rhythms. We did a lot of studies there during my academia career, so to say. After this, I ventured into a completely different direction. So it was then, in this case, 2015 around. And I started the first blockchain incubator in Europe. It was based here in Graz. We did a lot of great projects. And then this whole field of blockchain in 2017, it really blew up. And we had like the first big Bitcoin bubble, but also other projects in terms of especially Ethereum, smart contracts and so on. Did a lot of great work there. It was fascinating. It was exciting. It was something really new and futuristic. And then for me in 2018, I had a bit of a breakdown, to be honest. So it was too much work. I then had a few medical issues and so on. And I'm always a hacker by heart. So was always and so on. So I love to tinker. I love to research. I love to overcome hurdles. And so in 2018, for me, I had a lot of medical problems, hurdles. And I wanted to solve them. So I did everything from taking, as one will do, I think, taking 50 plus supplements a day, lifestyle changes, diet changes. I even went here in Austria, in Graz, we have like a very good like maker or hacker scene, and we have open biolabs here. So I even went into biolab here and learned how to culture bacteria, because I saw in a study that bacteria based on from Danish mother's milk in this case made mice to super mice. So they were stronger, more vigilant, and lived longer also in this case. And that was quite exciting. And one thing I had in the top of my mind was from my light studies, where we saw initially, it was apart from circadian rhythms, it was something different, experimental, where we saw that certain wavelengths of light can also have a tremendous influence, in this case, on hormonal levels. And so I experimented here as well. I built basically in my shower a light room. It looked very funny, and like kind of I would grow weed in there. So for my neighbors, it was very funny. But I did a lot of experiments and saw especially my hormonal levels like testosterone and so on shooting up insanely high. So this was quite exciting. And at the time also my girlfriend at the time, now my fiance, I always wanted to start a company with her, right? So especially these blockchain things, she was always a bit not so hyped about it. She was like, that's boring. I don't like to do that. I need something where I can provide value. And she also tried this on her so effects. And this was when she said, hey, this is insane. It's really exciting. Let's do something together. And so we had to start the company. I think in longevity in particular, so biohacking, I see at the moment as biohacking was big a few years ago, and it more and more goes into longevity somehow, because what we see is biohacking is, okay, you optimize your body, you become more performant. It's nice. But in the bigger picture, you want to have a happy, healthy life where you can perform and do your best over the whole lifespan. And so my big vision for longevity especially is, or what I see in the upcoming decades, is there will be a few horizons in longevity. And that's also what other people say, of course. So the moment what we really see is diagnostics is a big thing. So what can you do at the moment in terms of longevity that's really certain, secure? You can do preventative things. You can go to the doctor, you can screen yourself, see if there's any big issues or things that you should treat. You can change your diet, change how you do your lifestyle, so more movement and so on. You can stop the big killers, like especially smoking, no-brainer. And so this is like what we do at the moment, I think. And this is in biohacking, but also in longevity. What we are slowly now seeing is like first bigger interventions, I would say, where we are one of them, for example, with our technology, where you can have, on top of having a good lifestyle and a good life and taking care of yourself, you can have certain interventions that are low risk. So in terms of they cannot break anything big within the body, but show quite good potential in terms of especially giving your body and mind more resilience. So really early stage interventions, like for example, our technology we use, ideally you start it as soon as possible and then use it continuously. That's also what we are aiming for, is really automatizing it. So you do not have to think about it. You do not have to be an expert, but it's rather easy to use over the next 10, 20, 30 years. And it will have a very positive impact on your body and mind. And afterwards, like the third stage, I would say, is then really what a lot of biotechs are currently researching, and where we can have a lucky shot, but it's not sure or certain, is like finding solution for especially the big killers. So cancer, heart attack, diabetes. These things can maybe be solved. There can be solutions that are already being researched, and if we are lucky, we find them soon, and where you then simply kind of deactivate these things, and then you only have to care about first having a good life and staying healthy, and then potentially what also a lot of researchers now say is if you solve the big killers, if you're healthy right now, then maybe we can research on things that extend life, so to say. So where you can maybe find solutions that extend your lifespan for 5+ years, and then something else on top of it that extends it for 10+ years. And then you buy yourself, if you want, more and more time over time, but you're not in such a hurry, hopefully, because the big killers are deactivated. You know, you have kind of a healthy lifestyle, you have interventions that support you with that. And yeah, so that's, I think, where we are aiming for. And ideally, of course, I mean, why you want to live longer, or if you want to live longer, it's different for everyone, I think. And longevity in general, or lifespan, I think it's quite controversial, right? But I think the other really big part is, like, if you ask someone how much of your X years that you're going to live, how much of them, or how many of them do you want to live in a healthy state? And I think probably everyone will say ideally until the last day, right? And so that's, I think the big goal is really solving the big killers, having a healthy life. And then you can ideally pick your X years and say, okay, 80 is enough for me. Then I've lived a good life. And for some people, they say, for whatever reason, I want to live longer, ideally because they still can and want to provide value to humanity. And so that's then a good thing. So for us and for our technology that we use, photobiomodulation as a base, we see in general how light works on the human body and mind. We see that we as humans need light, in general sunlight, to live and to thrive. And we see also like specific wavelength portions. So if you say you have UV light, for example, for vitamin D production, skin browning, you then have visible light, and then you have something called red or deep near infrared light. This is something that we humans can slightly see, but also not. And then there is heat radiation, so infrared light. And what we see in science is that specific wavelengths that are in between of heat radiation and still visible light, so near infrared light we call it. It's a light that we humans, we can almost not perceive. Some animals can. And this light is able to penetrate the body, so via the skin, enter the body. And there we see this interaction with the mitochondria. So we see the mitochondria, they get more effective, efficient, they get triggered, kind of like a computer is overclocked, but in a way that you can sustain for an indefinite period. And that's quite exciting because it's so easy. It's like you do not have to put in a needle in your body or even a supplement or something like that. It doesn't touch your body, but it directly targets the core of our bodies. And so that's quite exciting as a topic and research. What we know so far is that this mechanism, it works. We also, at the moment for us within our startup, we are researching, okay, how can we combine, because even in this spectrum of near infrared light, there's like an abundance of different wavelengths, intensities, mixtures that we can use. So we even patented our own light mixture here. In this case, we call cell light, that directly links to the mitochondria, or cytochrome C oxidase, we call it within the mitochondria. That is the trigger of this mechanism. And so you can optimize these portions. And what we also see, and that's quite exciting as well, is we see there is variances between people. So I earlier mentioned females, for example, and males. We see, of course, there is a difference. We see in different age groups, there is a difference in terms of what kind of mixture you need, what kind of intensity. And then you can also, depending how you mix the light wavelengths, how you target it, how you even pulse it, you can achieve different effects, from recovery effects to beautifying effects, all the way to increasing sleep quality, increasing concentration, increasing even performance during sports and so on. Again, the topic for me, even though I'm male, I think females is super exciting. And because biology in females, it's so understudied at the moment, as female biology is, let's say, much more complex than the males. We have like this 24-hour cycle, and then for females, it's much different. And like pharma or biotechs and so on, so far, they focus more on males. I mean, this is changing at the moment because it's simply easier. And especially if you have something that is very static in terms of how you apply it, like, for example, drugs, then it's really hard to individualize